This lift system here is our roller Roman system. And this roller clutch is actually a dual purpose operating system here. You can use it for a laminated roller shade, and we'll show you that in another video. But this particular instance, we're using it as a Roman shade mechanism. So what I've got here is our 0.9 millimeter lift cord, and it's very easy to string. We've got our orbs at the bottom, heavy duty rings at the bottom, and we have the rings just like any standard Roman shade. But you'll notice that as the cord travels through these rings, it goes off at a little bit of an angle to each clip. And then it's simply tied at the top of the bottom of the clip there. And the reason that this cord must be oriented in this fashion is so that when you raise the shade, the cord can coil around this tube without piling up on top of itself. Now, a couple very important points. You absolutely must use these larger rings. If you use a tiny Roman shade ring, this cord will not be allowed to move back and forth freely, and it will constrict, which will cause it to not operate properly. So I'll go ahead and raise it so that you can see how it works. Again, this is the roller Roman lift system, very easy to use, and it operates the same as any other lift system with a bead chain. And I'm going to show you very importantly, as I'm pulling this chain, you can see how the cord starts to go back along here. It's along the back part of the shade and then coils around. And that's very, very important. As I lift the shade, you can see how the cord does not bunch on top of itself. Now I'll go ahead and lower it and show you that when you raise the shade, you don't want to pull it so that the cord is coming along the back side of the roller. You can see where there's a big gap here, and what happens in that instance, it actually pulls on the shade and drags the shade backwards. So as you get up higher, it pulls the shade back toward the window. So you want to make sure after you get it installed that you educate your client so they're aware when you raise the shade, and it's just simply which cord do you pull and raise it up right like that. When you string this shade, you want to make sure that you adjust the cords. You want to have the shade oriented so that the cords are right at the bottom of the clip, and then you go ahead and adjust your cord length. And we do have the orb on there. Now I haven't tied a knot yet, but once I get the length the way I want it, I'll go ahead and tie the knot. And you'll want to make sure that they're all equal length. And you'll notice too there's a little tiny bit of play here. I don't want this cord to be so tight that it's pulling, because we don't want it yanking on this, and we don't want to put a tremendous amount of tension on this clip. So I'll just adjust the orb here so that there's a little bit of slack. You want the shade in the lowest position. You can see that it's just skimming that ring. And again, we use the heavy duty rings for the bottom. There's a lot of pulling force on this, so we use the heavier ring at the bottom. It's very, very easy to install and very easy to operate. One other thing I want to point out that's very, very important, and this is in our written instructions, you want to make sure that the last ring is at least 13 inches from the top of the dustboard. And you can see there's quite a space here. If you put the ring too high, you'll get a lot of pulling on the shade itself, and it won't roll up very nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this up and turn it around so that you can see it from the front.